fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Q's show here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku and the survivors of UA. Now, in the last part, Deku, he had to do something that he would rather not speak about. After returning home, in almost 3 weeks, Deku's discovered his mother and Mitsuki. Both of them were infected, and he had to put them down. Now, Deku, he walked out of his apartment covered in blood. And, well, his mindset at the time wasn't really too good. He just wanted to zone out everything else. He was so fixated on what he had to do, he just, well, stopped working for a minute. Now, they then went to Jiro's home, discovering that her parents were not there, as they decided to spend some time here. Deku getting a shower and a change of clothes, as he was more or less still rattled by his experience. And they tried to watch something to relax. Now, we do actually have a few hours later, where Deku, him and Kirishima are both sleeping in the living room. And it's kind of just messed up. These two, they're staying here. Meanwhile, Jiro and the girls are all sleeping upstairs. And Deku, he's just laying down, trying to think of everything. What happened, what they did, what they've been through, and what he just did earlier. Now, Deku, he's just laying there. And there actually is whenever Deku, he does hear Kirishima start to talk. Hey, Midoriya, you awake? Deku just not talking. Listen, man, I'm real sorry for what you had to do. I mean, I don't know what you had to do. It's just, I can't imagine it. It's, real messed up. We heard a few things, but we didn't want to, you know. Now, Deku, he does want to shift his blanket, and as someone of assigned to tell Kirishima to stop talking. However, Kirishima, he does just look the direction, as Deku, he does still lay down. Yeah, listen, man, I'm not really too sure how to tell you this. We need to try and keep it together. Me and you both. So, we need to make sure they're good. Hmm? Who? Hey, you're actually awake? Deku going to sit up and turning. Yeah, I'm actually awake. What are you talking about? Listen, we need to keep things together, okay? If you have problems, you can talk to me. But just try leaving the girls out of it. I mean, I know it's, messed up to say, but I don't think they can handle it. After what happened with Ochako and Ida, And then with what you had to experience, I can't imagine it, dude. I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't find too much at home, but you, from what we heard, it was bad, wasn't it? Now, Deku, he does go to stand up, and he just walks straight over to Kirishima. You need to shut up. Dude, I'm just trying to help. You can't help me. I can't sleep. What I saw earlier, it's not something you can just fucking shake off. Do you understand me? Yeah, I can try and keep my shit together. I can try to talk to you. But you don't understand at the end of the day what happened in there. I'm scared, Kirishima. My mother. Do you know what I had to do? Do you know what I did? I'm sorry. It's just I had to kill her. And then it's just it's just it's just Deku finally just breaking down. As Kirishima he does go to set up. Now, Deku he does just fall to his knees and start crying. As he does just continue to sob. And Kirishima he does try to comfort him, trying to explain to Deku. The girls they can't use their quirks, and they feel scared because of it. Momo, she was riled after the experience of the zombie. And then there's also the other girls. He's heard them talk about it before, but he hasn't said anything. The fact that they're all trying to live without their quirks now after using them for so long, the situation they're put in where their quirks would be super useful, yeah, they're basically living like they're quirkless. And that's the hard part. It's not an easy adjustment, especially with how things are set. If they use their quirks after being bitten, they could die. Or, to put it in better words, they can turn to zombies. That idea is hard. And there's the fact that quirk malfunctions are happening. Kirishima, he's scared to test his durability. He doesn't want to harden his arm and have it be stuck that way, as a useless limb, basically. Now, Deku, he does start to calm down after a few minutes. And we do actually have somebody who's standing in the hallway, as they're listening to the conversation these two are having. Listen, we have to keep it together for their sake. You know, I guess. Yeah, it's just gonna sound messed up, really, but I don't think they can handle it because I'm trying to, and I don't think I'm doing too well. Honestly, I want to, you know, I've thought about it, Kirishima. Yeah, it's not a fun thought, but I can understand where they went with it. Their thought process, kinda. Kirishima, don't. What? Why not? It would be an escape, right? It would stop everything that's happening to us? No, it wouldn't stop. What? It wouldn't stop. I don't know. Honestly, are you religious, Kirishima? Uh, Not particularly. Okay. Well, I don't know what would happen after. Death is a subject that's one people would rather avoid. And hearing you speak of it so casually, like it's the best option, it's pretty fucked up. Yeah, I know what you mean. But what about You're saying we have to keep it together for them, right? Yeah, that's all we can really do. Uh, Going that way would be pretty unmanly, right? Yeah, you could say that. But I don't know. Maybe surviving here isn't the best thing to do. Honestly, I don't know what we could do once the food runs out and power turns off. What then? What do we do? Well, I just. You're the smart one, right, Deku? Right, Midoriya? You gotta have something on your mind, right? I mean, food and water. Th- if this shit goes on for a long time, everything's gonna fall apart. People will kill each other for it, right? Resources that, well, they're just not around anymore. With the infected running around and killing everyone, with other people just trying to have a meal. I've seen this type of shit in movies. I never thought it would happen in real life. I don't want to kill somebody for a meal, especially when I don't think I'd be able to stomach it. I get it, but maybe getting out of the city would be a better option. Really? Yeah, maybe. We uh we hmm, okay, let's see. Water and food. Plants do grow, but at the same time, in the long run, growing a farm takes time and effort, a lot of care, and it's not easy. Okay, but that's that. That's a farm. We would have to find somewhere to plant it and really just stay there. Now, we actually do have the next morning where Deku, he's actually started coming up with a few ideas and plans. As everybody, they do sit down and at least eat breakfast together. All of them are sitting at the dining room table in Jiro's house. And, well, the only real thing that they can hear is outside. The zombies shuffling around and even some moans and groans. And everybody, they're doing their best to ignore that. As there actually is one Deku, he does speak up. So, everybody, I did have an idea. Everybody turned their heads to look at him. What's up? Okay, well, honestly, I'm gonna be straight with all of you guys. The way things are looking, if we stay in this city, we're all going to die. So, my plan's kinda simple. Now, everybody they do just stare at Deku. That was not encouraging. My plan's basically, okay. None of us can use our quirks. We've all established that, right? Yeah, Yorozu, you can't create things. Jiro, you can't use your sound waves. Kirishima can't harden his body, and I can't use my strength augmentation. Or my enhancement quirk. So, there's just one thing. I grew up not really using my quirk, so I can teach you guys what I know. But, after that, really, we have to rely on our intelligence. And information people have already had throughout the years. So, my idea is pretty easy. We go to a library. We find books on farming, how to take care of crops, raising cattle, the whole thing. And we get out of the city. From there, we can probably figure it out. Hell, if we even need to, we can get books on, well, surviving out in the wild, how to make primitive weapons, stuff like that. I think there are books like that, right? Uh, well, I think I've seen those books you're talking about. It's like, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. No. Everybody they do speak up. This idea, it sounds good. Getting out of the city? Where would they go, though? Well, Yakuruzu, you said your house is outside of the city, right? Oh, we own an estate. Okay. But it's kind of far, but overall, it's got some pretty good walls to it. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I think the only real problem would be is if my staff and everyone else is not there. Other than that, I think that they'd all be fine. Now, Deku, he's very pleased to hear that. They can encounter other humans. It's great. This is great news. They can all not be on their own anymore. Now, as Deku, he does think that they all duly start to plan things out. They know the address of a library and they know Yairozu's address. If they do drop everybody off over there real quick and then try to head to the library, then maybe they'd actually have a better chance in the long run. And that's what Deku can only think about. The long run, the long run. He knows for a fact, already, hero society is breaking down, if it already hasn't totally collapsed. All they can really do is rely on the military and what they can try. And that's even if they can get out of town. So what they're going to need to do, really, right now, is just try to sit by and watch, really. Now, we actually do have later on into the afternoon where everybody, they were more or less making sure they had everything, looking at supplies, and focusing on that just from looking around the house. They did actually start to hear gunfire. And there was whenever they all did go to look outside. Now, this is where helicopters they do fly overhead. And everybody, they're actually at least a little bit more, well, what's the best way to say it? They calm down. There are helicopters flying overhead. And then there's the fact that the gunfire gets louder and louder. And they're not really too sure what to do with that. The fact is, the military, they're actually making a move on the city now. And, well, in theory, it sounds good. And everybody, they do start to cheer. As we actually have Deku. He's trying to focus on this. The military, they're here. However, there's all the gunshots, the jets, everything. They're making too much noise. Now, Deku, he actually has to tell everybody that they need to get back inside. And that they need to just stay down. As everybody, they do at least start to get kind of confused, looking towards Deku. Now, Deku at this point would talk about how heroes are infected as well. And if they do come here, they are going to die. And everybody, they do quickly start to make their way inside. As there actually is whenever a tank, it does start driving through the neighborhood. It smashing through and actually going on top of a lot of zombies. As it does continue down the neighborhood before firing at something. And there actually is where Deku he does stand by the window. And he does look outside. As he does see the tank moving its turret before an infected zombie does actually go to grab it. As it does start pushing against it and the zombie does start getting pushed back. The turret moving slower. This being where a bunch of zombies just start piling onto the tank. And Deku he does watch what happens. One of the zombies, it's got, well, a fire quirk and it's starting to ignite. And that's directly on top of the back of the tank where the engine might be. And then there's actually a zombie that it does have an ice quirk. And it's actually moving its way into the threads of the tank on the left side. And Deku just does continue. This being where a zombie, it does start to try and move onto the turret. Whenever it does get on top of the giant gun that swung around, it does start to try and force its way down the pipe. Deku watching on as that zombie does basically turn into mush, and it does crawl into the pipe as the top of the tank does flip open. Now, as it does so, many of these military men, they do immediately jump out on top of the tank, pulling their weapons and firing off in random directions to kill zombies. And yeah, Deku, he actually does go to duck down since those guys are firing randomly. And everybody, they don't really know what to do. And there is whenever these guys, they do start to scream. And yeah, it does not turn out very pretty, as more explosions can be heard. And these don't really die down. Throughout the next oncoming days, they just increase in intensity. And it does feel like the zombies, they're just getting different. They don't seem to be staying the same. Now, Deku, he does point out, after letting the chaos die down for a minute, that zombies, they all do seem to be different and unique. And how some of them, they probably might not even be really shootable or killable in a certain way regular ones are. And everybody, they're kinda confused, as Deku, he does point something out to them. He doesn't know if certain zombies are immune to this or immune to that. Because taking into account things like Kirishima's quirk, are there zombies out there with hardened skin? Because they could be bulletproof. There's a zombie out there that just crawled into a tank turret gun and forced all the men out of there. And he's not so sure if they tried shooting it, but that thing, it might be a goop or, well, a sludge thing. So whatever's happening, it would mean that certain zombies, they can be taken out certain ways, but they're immune to other ways. Where the bulletproof ones, they would be hard to kill with the normal means, their brains still must be rattled in there, right? Even if it's just sludge. Over time, they must be worn down, so they move slower because of their joints, freezing or stiffening, right? Certain things must have certain disadvantages and advantages in its own, right? That is what's going through Deku's mind. Where some zombies could be bulletproof, they might not be fireproof. Where certain zombies could be fireproof, they're not bulletproof. And Deku, he does wonder about that. It's a lot to take in and a lot to try and even process. But maybe, just maybe, it's possible. Now, we do actually have later that night, where Deku, he is still looking outside, and he is thinking. With the fact that the tank smothered a bunch of zombies on its way through the neighborhood, it did take out quite a bit of a number of them. They could leave right now, but at the same time, there's a lot of fires going on. You can't walk outside without smelling flames. And Deku, he's actually kind of curious. From where he's standing outside, he can almost make out the military guy's vest. He can see the guy's body, but it's kind of concerning. The guy, he might be turned. So, trying to walk over there and take his weapons, that could be a good idea, but it's also kind of iffy. The guy, is turned, he could immediately grab him. So he just needs to quickly stab and run. Along with that, there's the fact that he's carrying a radio. And that alone could give them so much more information. Stuff the public isn't aware of. Now, we do actually have Kirishima. Whenever he does come outside and talk to Deku. And Deku, he does talk about this crazy plan. As the two, they do sneak out of the gate and quickly run down the neighborhood. As soon as the two do run down there and get to the military guy about 3 houses down, you do actually have Deku who does go to bring up the knife and quickly stab into the guy's head before pulling it out. Deku then going to bend down and go to grab at the guy's vest. Come on, okay, let's see. Dude, do you really think that was Kirishima? Listen. I don't know. It was probably for the best, but I'm gonna just try and get this thing off. I don't know if we can actually, well, Come on, shit. Now, Deku basically tells Kirishima he's not sure if they can just carry this stuff on its own. And this vest here, it has got a lot in it already. They can find out more later. As Deku, he does undo certain buckles and go to actually pull off this guy's body. As Deku does so, he does actually go to look down towards the guy's arm to see a weapon. Deku reaching down and grabbing it as he does go to hand it off to Kirishima. Kirishima taking the rifle and looking down at it. As Deku, he does go to actually search the guy's pockets and undo the belt that does carry a holster on it. As Deku does do that, he does go to grab the weapon and pull it out. As Deku, he does inspect the gun before setting it back down into the holster. And then he does go to stand up. As him and Kirishima, they do quickly run back towards the house. Now, with that being said, we actually have where everybody they do get a surprise whenever Deku does show up with the vest, a holster on his hip, and Kirishima carrying, well, a military vest. As they're all kind of surprised before Deku, he does go to turn on the radio. And they all do sit around and listen. As on the radio chatter, it's talking about how downtown the area is in flames. This sector over here of the city is currently, well, either in dust or it's overrun with infected. And there's even where they do talk about the blockade that's been broken through. And that part's more surprising. As military chatter does talk about areas that are destroyed, blockades they can no longer say are safe, or even, if you do want to put it in a certain way, able to be considered areas to evacuate to. Now, this is kind of the bad part, as the guys that are also talking about individuals who've been bitten and or possibly infected. As Deku does hear what they have to say on the matter. These guys, they found out that somehow quirks are linked. And infection, yeah. If you get bit, their entire premise is basically just a bullet in your skull. They don't know about the other effect. They don't know that you can survive being bitten. And Deku, whenever he does hear about that, it does throw him for a loop. As Deku, he does go to press down the radio button and go to open his mouth. However, he does quickly catch his tongue, as he does just let go of the button once again. Now, both men on the line, they actually do hear the button being pressed, as the sound was heard, then nothing, before it just suddenly turned off. Hello? Is there somebody else on this channel? Identify yourself. Now, everybody they do just look at Deku, as Deku, he does just hold the radio in his hand. And he does take a deep breath in before, at least, speaking into it. Yes, hello, this is... Well, we're civilians. You should not be on this radio channel. Exactly how did you get this radio? Only authorized personnel should have had access to it. Yeah, a few days ago, they were killed. We just found their bodies and, well, this was going off. Hmm? Really? How long ago did you pick up this radio? Um, we just found it. Okay. Tell us your position and we might be able to evacuate you. Now, everybody they do start to hear that. Evacuation? That's good, right? They're safe. It's it. They're done. They're safe. Now, Deku he gets a strange feeling in his gut, as he does look at everybody else. As Mei and Kendo, they both do at least not sound excited about this. Um, okay. So guys, this doesn't feel right. What? But we can get out of here. No, I don't think we can. Everybody looking towards Kendo. If the military wanted us out of here, they would have come sooner, wouldn't they? I mean, sure, they're here now, but nothing for 3 weeks? We have to think about this. Everybody, I don't think this is a good idea. Yeah, I kind of have a bad feeling about this too, guys. Everybody looking down towards Deku. As Deku, he does just talk about how if the military wanted them to get out of here safely, then they wouldn't have come here so heavily armed. In the last couple of days, they haven't seen any, well, vehicles besides heavily armored ones. And even then, Deku actually going to hold the vest, as he does talk about how the vest here, it has at least 3 or 4 magazines for the rifle besides what's inside it already. And then for the handgun, he found 7 extra magazines on the guy. These guys, they didn't, well, come here to save them, did they? Wait, what are you talking about? Guys, I think, um, I've heard a story similar to this. Whenever there's a disease in a certain area, I think this, I think how this is how it went. If there's a disease in a certain area and no one can find out where it came from, if they can narrow down the location, they can exterminate the area. What? Yeah, maybe I sound crazy, but these guys, they don't seem like the good guys here. You're insane. You can't be serious. Guys, how about this? We just try to talk to them and find out more. Hello. Respond. That is an order. Yes. Hello? What happened? Sorry, we were being a bit too loud. We? Is there more than just you on this other side of this radio? Yes. Me and some other people. We, we're curious. Where do we evacuate to? Now, he would hear about this area right here. As Deku, he does think for a minute. The area they're talking about is a heavily destroyed place downtown. They drove past it. That place is nothing more than ash. And yeah, that doesn't make him feel any better. Now, we actually do have our Deku, he does give an address. Everybody watching this Deku, he does give them the address of a house down the street. Now, as Deku does give them the address, they do tell him that they'll be there in about 30 to 20 minutes. As Deku, he does immediately stand up and tell everybody they need to pack everything up as fast as they can now and get into the car. As they do this, there is actually whenever they do pack everything up and hop into the vehicle. As they do open the vents and pull out over the mashed bodies, Deku he does tell people to jump out real quick and to go and try to get the weapons from the other military guys. Everybody actually at least looking at each other before Deku does get out of the driver's seat. As he does unholster the pistol and start running down there. Let's say Kendo, who's in the driver's seat, or the passenger seat, does hop out as well, and go to run down that way. As Deku, he does run up, and go to actually see the other two military personnel. As one of them, they actually start to look up and start to lean forwards, trying to bite Deku. Deku does immediately just go to stab the guy in the head, before actually going to undo the vest. Okay, this little thing here, this here, unfasten this. Now, as Deku and Kendo do basically loot the weapons, they do run back to the car. As it's been about somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Now, as they do get to this area, they actually do start to drive down the street. Or get back into the car, they do drive down the street. As Deku, he does go to turn around the corner and go to speed down the street before pulling into an alley halfway down. As that does happen, there actually is whenever the military, they do start to come by. Deku and everybody, they do start to see military personnel in the area. As they're at the house directly at the end of the block, where Deku and everyone can see them. And everyone, they're kind of confused. They seem like the good guys. Why are they here? And there actually is whenever two men do go to hop the fence. Before they do go to rack their weapons and kick in the front door. Now, as that does actually happen, the men do start to clear the house. And gunfire, it can be heard. As the men, they do walk out and at least do talk about how the area, there was no one here. As the house does get set on fire. Now, they actually start to talk about how they need to continue searching. There can't be any survivors in this town. They need to take out who they believe is infected, and then they start to try and understand or redo things that can help conform to normalcy. Now, Deku's kind of taken aback. Conform to normalcy? What does that even mean? Now, the military convoy, let's just say, does pass through the area, as the neighborhood does get burned down. And by this time, everybody, they at least do understand now. They're on their own. They almost, well, fell into a trap. Uh, you guys, that was, good thinking. Hmm? Thanks. But, I'm just glad you guys believe me. Now, you do have Kendo in the driver's seat, or the passenger seat, who does talk about how Deku, he at least did help to confirm her bad feeling. And she's glad that he actually was there to help. Hmm? I didn't do too much, but let's just, shit. We need to get to Yayuru's estate. Momo, do you care for driving? Hmm? I've never... Okay, give me directions. Deku says does the car in reverse. Them backing out of the alleyway and smashing into a zombie. Before Deku, he does put the car in forwards, drive back, put the car in reverse, drive back, and then actually go to back up completely. Before he does start to make his way down the street Momo was talking about, and follow her directions. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. We'll catch you guys in the next part.